Hi, welcome to Fiberchats. My name is Irina Shar, and my guest today is Ross Rochester from podcast called Smells Like Yarn. Welcome, Ross.
Hello.
So I wanted to ask you, like, you started this podcast a while ago, right?
Yep, I think it's probably 8 years now, I feel like.
Right.
I can't keep track, but I think it's like 8 or 9 years. I think I've had the YouTube channel and been doing stuff.
So how did you come up with the idea of starting the podcast?
Back then I was just like getting into doing yarn crafting, started like looms and crochet and knitting, and I was watching podcasts way back in the day, the old podcasts that unfortunately a lot of them aren't around anymore, which I miss. But it's like, what, I kind of want to do this. And it's like, I kept on like putting it off, putting it off. It's like, what, I just need to try it and do it. And I did, and just kept on going. So
So let's talk at the like very beginning of your
yeah.
podcast, like the first, let's say, few months.
hmm
How did you discover your audience? Like, who were you targeting at that point?
At that point, and I wasn't really targeting anybody. I just wanted to record the video, put it out there. Then whoever found it, found it. I've never really promoted my channel. It's just kind of make a video, record it, upload it, and let YouTube, Google do the magic, and people find it. And that's pretty much all I do.
So did that change from that point to now? Like, do you have a target audience now, or is it
Nope.
still the same?
Still, I just focus. I want to be happy with the video. As long as I'm happy, it goes out. So I have the mindset when I do my videos, like only one person's going to watch it. That's going to be me. And that's just what I go for. And so I don't really try to like do things to grab more viewers or get numbers going. I just like record the video, upload it. That's why I don't edit my videos. I don't do anything. I just like pretty much take it out of the camera, put it in my computer, splice it together, and then upload it. And that's about all I do. So
Right. Does that surprise you, like that so many people stuck with you through the years and like coming back all the time and watching you all the time?
it does, because I just feel like still in my mind, like nobody, I'm like just another person that knits and just puts videos on YouTube. And I just never really get the idea that people watch me every week. It's just, it hasn't really sank in yet and stuff, but it happens, I guess. And just,
What's like, do you have some hardcore fans that like would watch every episode and would reach out to you and cheer you
yep,
on?
yep. There's people that from the very beginning that keep on watching and still like message me and stuff. So yeah, they're out there. It just feels, I don't know, it just like, it feels good. It just, I don't know. It's also kind of like someone wants to watch me what I make, but it's like, okay, whatever. I mean, I watch other people, what they make and what they post on Instagram. So it's just, I don't know.
Right. When you making stuff,
hmm
do you have like I noticed you making a lot of hats, and then
hmm
there is like Ross hat, right?
Yep.
That you design, and it's a free pattern
Yep.
on
Yep.
your website.
Yep.
Um, is hat your like go-to project to test any yarn you get?
Pretty much. I've just realized that I just enjoy making hats, and that's what I like to do. And I feel like that shows off the yarn the best. So when I'm trying a new yarn, figure I might as well make a hat, because then I can pretty much have also a finished object pretty quick. It only takes me a few hours to do a hat. So it's kind of nice to just have a quick project to do. Then I can get a good idea of how the yarn feels, how it wears and stuff. So
Do you
I like
always
hats.
make like a basic beanie, or do you
Yep.
go like elaborate hats as well?
Just basic beanies, what I do. Like pretty much that Ross ads, like way back in the day, I tried a few different patterns. And I like this from this pattern, like that from that pattern, and this. So I kind of just like mushed it together and started doing that hat. And for a while there was no pattern out there for it. I just had it in my head. And then finally people kept on asking, like, how do you make your hat? How do you make your hat? So then finally I sat down, wrote down all my notes, and first did the worsted weight hat. And then I've also did like other weights that I would always do, and then just put all those notes together. So then boom, here's the hat I make all the time with the different yarn weights with the numbers so people can do it themselves. But, yeah, it's
So
just as
basically,
simple.
like Ross hat has different options of different yarn weights in it.
Yep. I have a fingering weight, like a DK weight, worsted weight, and a bulky weight. Because those are like the four yarns I work with the most, I feel like. So it's like pretty much a hat for each one, so I can know what fits well for me and works.
Right. What happens to all the hats that you need?
A selection of them I wear. I have a huge just basket in my living room of hats, and right now hats and face masks. I just every day, just like in the wintertime, grab a hat and go. So I got those. Other ones like give to friends, and then I've got a stash that I just slowly been every now and then putting on Etsy and selling, and just kind of, I don't know, just go with the flow. And I got a pile that I got like set aside to donate at some point in the wintertime when they start accepting donations here for different charities. So just a little bit of everything happens with those hats.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about that wall on the back of you.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Like, I'm sure it didn't happen overnight. Like, how did that was built?
Because like when I first moved here to Wisconsin, I had different like setup for the back, and then so you know what, like I need to like update it, make it a little bit nicer. So I got these. They're just like I think 3x4 like storage cubes for most of them. There's a couple like 3x1 stacked on top of each other, and it's just over like a weekend I put those all together, maybe 2 weekends put them together, then filled them up with yarn. And
Now, so
I think
let's talk about filling them up with yarn.
Yeah,
What was your first yarn purchase? Do you remember?
it was probably just some yarn from, I guess, probably Michael's or Joann's or Hobby Lobby at the time. I was starting to play with yarn, and or maybe even Walmart. It's wherever was local. When I was in Kalamazoo, I just went to the store, grabbed some yarn off the shelf, and started playing with it and liked it, and then started buying more and more and more, and then it just slowly grew to a little bit what you see behind me is just some of my yarn.
Did you start with crocheting or with knitting?
It was loom knitting.
Loom knitting first.
Well, actually, way back, my mom taught me how to knit when I was a kid, but didn't really do anything with it. And then, like 8 or 9 years ago, I needed something to do. So I had looms that I bought at one time. So I started playing with those, was making hats. I liked it. It's like, I want to do something different. So I started doing crochet, and I didn't really enjoy it as much as I thought I would. And it didn't really click with me. So then I tried knitting, and at that point, knitting just took off, and it's like, this just makes sense. Like what I make looks like the picture it's supposed to look like. And it's like everything, didn't really need to think with knitting. So then I just stuck with knitting. But yeah, I think it was at the between crochet and knitting, I started getting into yarn and buying yarn. So I went to like, I think I got like gift cards for Christmas, and I went to Michael's, and I just enjoyed, just bought a bunch of different yarn, not knowing what I was really buying at the time. It's just like, oh, this looks cool. What's this like Lion Brand homespun? That looks different. I'll buy that, not realizing it's not really that fun to work with when I was for my projects. But I just buying random yarns and just not knowing what it was, and just start playing with it. And then slowly over time learn more and more about the yarns. And
Do you ever go into a store and buy just like one skein?
Mm-hmm.
Because all the time I see pictures and it's boxes and boxes and like 37 pounds.
Yeah.
So do you ever go and buy just one skein?
Yeah. Every now and then I'll just like go buy a skein here, go buy a skein there. But yeah, it's usually when I'm buying online, it's usually nowadays, it's when a new yarn comes out, I'll just go through and depending on how many colors they have, usually buy one of each color. If it's like a bunch of like different like variegated or striping type things. If it's solid colors, I don't usually buy all the solids, just a couple here and there, because those are pretty much solid yarns and solid color yarn. But the multicolored one's always different. That's what I like the most. Yeah, I love to do one skein projects, one ball projects. It's kind of like what I like to focus on. So buying just one ball this, one ball that, one ball that, it works for me because pretty much a hat takes up a ball of yarn or less. So that's also why I do the hats, is because I can get a project out of one ball of yarn with a hat.
At what point did you decide that you're gonna do review of that and give your opinion on every color of what you bought? Like when did that become part of the podcast?
I guess when I started noticing, like when I do haul videos and stuff, that like my numbers were like higher with those, like, okay, it's kind of working. And then over time, I realized people were like watching the channel to get my opinions, because also I realized, like when I started the podcast and stuff, that there wasn't a lot of people doing podcasts with kind of like the mass market commercial yarns. There's a lot of like indie dyed and hand dyed stuff. It's like what you saw most of the podcasters working on, like people like, I knit with these store yarns I bought off the shelf at the store. It's like, why isn't more videos out there like that? So that's kind of like what I kind of focused on, and then it kind of just morphed into over time talking about the new yarns as they come out to show them to people so they can see. And people, I guess, they like trust my opinion. They feel I'm honest and everything, which I don't hold anything back. My face can't hide how I feel about things. So don't
Right.
have a poker face.
One of the videos I watched recently of yours was where you were holding this skein of yarn and
Mhm.
you said, "Oh my God, it's so soft," like probably 7 times in the 7 seconds of the video.
I think it was the Hirschner's yarn that like that. I think the Soho Playful. It was just really, really soft, and it felt like wow, this is really nice feeling. So,
So
yeah,
do you ever get yarn and you just like know that you would never knit with that?
yeah, oh yeah, that's happened where it's like I thought it looked really cool online, got it, and it's like, oh, this is not what I expected, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with this, but throw it down in the basement, and at some point I'll pull it out and do something with it, or I don't know.
So what happens to that kind of yarn? Do you make like toys out of it or something like that?
Usually, like if it's a really rough feeling yarn, I might do like I like to knit like different like market bags and stuff like that. So usually like that kind of yarn, you don't need to have the soft, nice feeling yarn because it's more like you're using it for something, not to wear, but just to hold things and more like a functional type thing. So a lot of
Right.
the yarns I don't like go into projects like that.
Are there like ever days when you not knitting?
Oh yeah.
So what do you do then?
Um, Usually those days I'm out doing like stuff with friends, going places, or some days it's just like I try to pick up knitting and just I'm not feeling it, so I'm just watching TV, scrolling through stuff on my phone, playing games. So it's not always knitting, even though I should be with all this yarn. I feel like I need to knit. I need to knit. I got to get through this yarn at some point. So yeah,
Do
it's like
you
in the
feel
back.
pressured because you're a podcaster, because you're on Instagram that you have to like post and you have to show the finished objects and you have to show what you're working on?
Uh, I feel a little bit of pressure, but I wouldn't say a whole lot of pressure because I'm really bad at starting projects and never finishing them. So that pressure doesn't like apply to like the finishing it. It's like if something new comes out, I really want to like show, I'll like put pressure on myself to get this done. It's like I want to like talk about this right away because it's new yarn starting to hit the stores. If you want to buy it, I want to like be able to talk about it. It's like, hey, check out this yarn. It's actually pretty nice. Or I don't like working with this yarn. Here's what I think about it. So I kind of have that pressure. I want to like, if I get something, I want to like kind of show it and talk about it. But I feel like I think I can knit more than I actually can in a week. So I tend to like, oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and then comes the time to podcast, like, oh, I did this, and that was it. But yeah.
When you go outside with your friends, do you
Mhm.
bring your knitting with you?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, or I'll usually have like a project in the car just in case. But lots of times I'll take something and never knit it. But like this past weekend, I was at a bluegrass festival, and we were just sitting there listening to music all day. So I had a little hat project in my bag with me that I had my little fanny pack. So I just pulled it out, did some hat knitting while listening to the music and just sitting there enjoying the nice weather. So I do take it out and knit in public every now and then. Uh,
Are any of your friends knitters?
nope, nope.
Have you ever considered like doing some sort of classes for your
I'm
audience?
no, it's I've like people always like ask, hey, can you do tutorial for this? Can you do tutorial for that? And it's like I'm not a tutorial person. It doesn't work for me, and like I don't have the setup. I don't have the time to like do a video like that, and it just doesn't work for me. It's something I know I have one video where I talk about like how the process of making my hat before I had the pattern written, and that's like the only tutorial video I have on my channel, and that's probably gonna be the only tutorial video on my channel.
Have you ever like felt that your review, like, because like when I watch your videos, right, they're very informal, like they feel
Mhm.
like very rehearsed, sort
Yep,
of like you're just sitting and talking out loud,
yep,
sort of thing, like it very unscripted.
yep.
Do you
That's
ever feel like when you do review of the yarn that you might not do the justice to the yarn just because you didn't prepare how you're going to describe it, just because you like
yeah,
pull it out of the box and like this is what I
yep,
think?
yeah. I'll like do the video and then like, oh, I should have talked about that. It's like I forgot to talk about that. And yeah, it's like because I'm very like informal with my videos. I do like before my podcast, I'll try to usually most days I'll type up like kind of like notes and like kind of like what I want to talk about so I can kind of refresh myself. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna talk about this, I'll talk about that. But yeah, I'm pretty informal and just kind of just relax and just start the camera, talk, and stop and go. So that's
Do you
kind of
ever
like my
have
style.
like brain freeze moments when you don't know
Oh
what
yeah.
to talk about? So how
Oh
do
yeah.
you deal with that?
Just go through it and just try to just keep on talking, and sometimes it comes to me, sometimes it doesn't, but usually if it's like I'm stuck on like a word or something, or try how I want to say it, like I can look it up on the computer and have it right there. So it's, yeah, I just go with it. And like this, my last podcast I just recorded on Sunday, I totally forgot what the episode number was. So it's like right there. It's like, oh, it's episode. I totally forgot to look it up. So let me look it up real quick. So I just kind of look it up and keep on talking and just fill time. It's like, I'm human. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. So why edit that out to make it look like everything's perfect when we're not? So it's like, just keep it in there and go.
So what episode was it?
Just
220?
277, I think, was the one.
Are you like amazed looking back at your journey at how many episodes you put out there?
Hmm. I am. I can't believe I'm almost at 300 episodes. It just doesn't feel like it. I still feel like I'm just back there doing the first episode way back when and stuff. But yeah,
So, any memorable episodes, like anything that you've done that you like, oh my God,
nothing's. There's so many videos now that I can't remember
it's all a blur.
listening to them. Yeah, it's like, or people are like, hey, in episode such and such, you were talking about this, and I'm like, I honestly don't remember that project or that yarn. So yeah.
Are you connected through like social media with other YouTube podcasters? Do you have like your favorites that you always watch?
Yep, I got a group of that, actually a couple different like chat groups of different podcasters and stuff. So yeah, there's a handful out there that I don't want to name all because I feel like I might leave somebody out and make them feel bad. But yeah, I got a group that I kind of keep tabs with and watch and interact with and stuff. So
Do you learn from other people? Like when you watch other people's podcasts, do you get some ideas of what you might do or like what they're doing better?
uh I wouldn't say I do. Because I don't want to feel like I'm copying them. I just kind of just sit back and enjoy and kind of just hear what projects they're working on and stuff like that. So I'll kind of focus on. So
Do you ever like watch other people's either podcasts or even like Instagram and see what they work on and you just like, I have to make that just because like I love what they're doing
uh,
project wise?
I don't know if like maybe they like the yarn they're working with, I'll catch my eye. But as far as projects go, it's like I'm just kind of like just setting my hats and my dishcloths. It's kind of like that's my happy space. That's pretty much what I'll be knitting most of the time. So like the projects are awesome that they do and they look cool, but it's usually nothing that I would want to knit myself.
When you look at the projects, do you look at them like, would I wear that? Or would you look at them sort of like, oh, this is a cool technique, I want to learn how to do it?
Uh, I would say it's more just the hard work work they did and just looks good. So it's usually because I'm not really a big technique person, a fancy stitch person. I like to do basic beanies. What I love is mindless knitting. So we're just pretty much knit stitch all the time. So like techniques and stuff, I feel like everything I want to do now I've done. So there's really nothing out there that like I see a lot of people do brioche looks really cool or color work that looks cool, but it's not something that I want to do myself. So more it's just really just seeing what people do and just the hard work they do and everything that the craftsmanship, and it's just like I just like enjoying looking at that.
Right. Do you have any particular designers that you admire and that like you watching what they're doing and like following them?
Um, really no, I'm, I don't, unfortunately. It just there's so many I follow and stuff, but a lot of the stuff that they do is just stuff that doesn't really interest me as far as like knitting for myself. So
Right. I actually have another question. So like you buying a lot of budget yarns, right?
mhm. Yep.
And how like is what's the process of thinking of you buying like let's say a box of 7 different colors of the same yarn
Mhm.
versus going and buying like one more expensive skein, like because
Yep.
it's not about budgeting,
Hmm.
obviously,
Yeah.
because you do
What's this budget
right,
word?
right.
Um, it's more just like in my head, it's like, oh, I can bust out hats with this yarn. So it's like I can just buy a bunch of it and go, or I don't know. That's pretty much what I'm on. It's like, oh, I can make this hat and this hat and this hat, or pretty much it's all the same hat, just different colors. Um, but I don't know. I like buying the budget yarn and talking about it because I feel like it just doesn't get enough representation online that it deserves.
So you
I
feel
feel
like
like,
you have like your special audience with that, like
mhm.
you're talking to people who couldn't afford
Yep.
expensive
Yeah,
yarns
because when I
otherwise.
started this, I didn't have the budget like I have now for yarn. So I was limited to, okay, I can buy this and this and this, and that's it. So I didn't have the luxury of being able to buy, a hand dyed skein of this and hand dyed skein of that. It's like, okay, I can get like 2 balls of cotton here at the store this week and maybe a skein of this like super saver, and that's about it. So it's kind of that's how it started. And so it's like, you know, people out there can't buy all the yarns. And so if they have a limited budget, it's nice to be able to like, hey, this new yarn from Premier or Red Heart or Lime Brand. Okay, it actually is really nice to work with. It looks good. It knits up nicely. It's worth buying. So that's kind of like what I kind of focus on and try to like show. But I also do buy the hand dyed stuff. I got some of my favorite hand dyers that when they put out yarn, I'll buy it and stuff. So
So like I saw that with the budget yarn, you would throw it into the machine wash and
mhm,
machine dry and
yep,
like and then do the review of how
yep.
it held up. Would you feel comfortable doing the same with more expensive yarn?
If the yarn was designed to be put in the washer and dryer, says, yep, you can machine wash it, I will. But usually also that more expensive yarn, like the hand dyed yarn, I'm not buying to review. I'm buying because I love it. And it's just for like my own personal, like, I just love this colorway and I like this dyer. So I'm going to buy this yarn and probably make a hat sometime down the road. And that's about it. So that yarn I don't really put through the test because I feel like that's more of just kind of like I'm buying just because I want to add it to the wall behind me, not buying it just to, like to review and work with and talk about.
Right. What's the largest project you ever done?
You're stumping me now. I don't really even know. I mean, there's like I've got like blankets I started years ago that were pretty large that just never got finished, and I have a sweater, actually 2 sweaters I've started and never finished. One sweater has the full body, one sleeve done. I just never did the second sleeve, and
So
I probably never
why is
will.
that? Like, why do you feel like the large projects overwhelm you?
I just I have too many distractions around me and stuff. So it's like I would like and then it's like, oh yeah, we can do this large project and I get started working on it. It's like I lose interest after a while, or there's something else that comes along I want to pick up and play with. So then the old project gets put aside and forgotten about. So like years later, I'm digging through boxes, like, oh, I forgot about this project. I never finished it. So yeah, I kind of just like so I just kind of focus more on that the smaller size projects, the one skein projects. I know those I can kind of work through and get done.
So when you work now, right? Like not like forget about the old projects nowadays. You do one skein project.
Hmm.
Do you do multiple projects at the same time or you
Oh yeah.
start and you finish it?
Yep. Yep. Like right now I have a hat here that I started last night. And then I got this shawl project I started a couple weeks ago. So those are kind of like working back and forth. And I have other projects in between and stuff. So I have like 3 or 4 like projects, kind of like current going projects I focus on. I kind of rotate through, but
So
um,
how do you decide which one to work on?
it's pretty much whatever I grab, and I just kind of like, okay, I feel like knitting this today and working on that. So it's I don't know how it happens. It's like, okay, my mind, like I want to knit this hat right now. That's all focus on the hat. So
Do you carry that stuff with you like when you travel somewhere like far? Like do you bring knitting with you?
I usually do. I usually bring. I always feel like I pretty much I pack for like I'm gonna be gone for like a month, and I'm gonna knit all these things, and over like even though I'm gonna be gone for like 2 or 3 days, I still have like this big bag of stuff. It's like I might work on this, and this, and of course end up actually doing nothing with it.
So one pair of shorts, one t-shirt, toothbrush, and like 7 suitcases of yarn.
Pretty much, yeah. I got the suitcase of clothes and like the big old giant suitcase of yarn, but I kind of cut back on that lately. But yeah, in the past it'd be like it looked like I was gonna gone for like 2 months without the yarn I'd pack when I would be gone for like 3 days. But
When you travel, do you go to see other yarn stores like in the area? Like, is that part of the sightseeing?
if there happens to be one in the area and like I have some free time, I might check it out. But usually it's not really like high on the list of things to do. Um,
Do a lot of stores approach you to like look at their yarn, try their yarn, give review on their yarn?
I've had a couple stores reach out to me and stuff like that, but not a whole lot of them. But there's been a couple that have reached out and
Do
looked at
you
their yarn.
do you like prefer not to do
No,
that?
I'm happy to help them out and stuff and check out what they have. So yeah.
So I saw your post about the damaged package.
Yeah.
Do you complain a lot on social media? Do you feel like this is your family, your friends, and they have to know what's going on in your life?
Hmm. Especially like with the yarn stuff like that. I just like today I just knit crate. I've had enough with them, I guess. And just I had a package from them delivered damaged last month. Actually, it was this month, the first of this month, and then I got another one delivered today, also damaged. And it's like I don't know, but yeah. And it seems like it doesn't happen a lot, but it just feels like lately it's like it's been more issues with stuff getting damaged. But I don't know.
Right.
I guess it's just not my time right now to order it. It should be a sign like, hey Ross, let's stop the yarn purchases for a while because it's not working out right.
Do you ever feel like, okay, this month I'm not buying anything because I have enough yarn to last me for 3 years?
I tell myself that at the beginning of every month, it's like, hey, let's cool it this month and not buy anything. And then 2 days later, here's an email with this new yarn that comes out. It's like, oh, I need to get that, and I want to get this, I want to get that. So, or there's like a clearance sale going on for yarn I don't need, but I have to get it because it's a good deal. So yeah,
Do you ever go to like secondhand stores or like whatever the Salvation Army
uh-huh.
sort of kind of things and look for yarn?
I do, and like I'll see people post online about all like this great finds they find when they go to those stores. Whenever I go to them, there's nothing there. Or it's like it's a bag of like 3 balls of Spread Heart Super Saver that they're charging $12 for. It's like that's overpriced. I can get that yarn for less
Right.
going firsthand. So I haven't had much luck, so I don't do it very often. But every now and then, if I'm in one of those stores, I'll kind of check out like their craft area and see what they have. And usually it's not much.
It's funny because a friend of mine, she's in Australia, and this is like the third time or something that she posts that she goes to the secondhand store and she buys cones of the Shetland wool, which
Yeah,
is like very expensive, and she buys
hmm,
it for nothing in like these brilliant colors. And I was
yeah,
like, "Where's that store? Like, why I
yeah.
don't have anything like that here?"
It's like I see all these finds people get of all these secondhand stores. It's like, where are these stores at? Because when I go to them, it's just stuff that people don't want anymore, and it's nobody wants this stuff.
Right. There is a reason why it ended
Yeah,
up there, right? I also noticed that you do the diamond
I
paintings.
do.
So
Yep.
how did that start? Like, how did you first learn about that?
I kind of stumbled into that. I think it might have been Mary Maxim's catalog. I think they had it like when it first started coming to the US. I'd seen it in their catalog and it looked kind of cool, but it was like really expensive. And then one of my favorite places to shop is AliExpress and just find the random weird cheap stuff from overseas. And one day I was like scrolling through and I was in like one of the shops in AliExpress, see what else they had for sale. It's like, oh, they got these diamond paintings I've seen in the Mary Maxim catalog. And it's like super duper cheap. It's like, I'm gonna grab a couple, see what they're like. And at some point I might try it. I don't know. So I got it. They arrived, opened it up, looked at it, was like, okay, it's not really what I was thinking, whatever, put it back, and it's like set here in the yarn for like months. Then finally one day it's like, you know what? Let's try this. So I pull it out, start going through. It's like, this is really addictive. I like this.
So tell us more, like what is it? Like how does it work?
I got one behind me that's been sitting on the floor. So it's a printed picture, and it's let me take the cover off. And it's got like little like symbols
Squares,
on the
right?
canvas,
Hmm.
and it's sticky, and those symbols correlate to a little what they call like a diamond drill or bit or whatever, and you just stick it on the canvas, and it's kind of like a paint by number.
Right.
Instead
Does
of
it,
doing paint, it's those little like pieces that you just stick on there, and I can just sit there for hours and do it and enjoy it. So yeah,
do you use like some sort of instruments, or is it just with your fingers?
they come with, I don't know if I have one by me. It's just like this little, they come with this like little pink pen that just you use, like you dip it in like some like sticky wax, and it just picks up the drill and puts on the canvas, and you do that. Like people like make fancy ones. I'm not a fancy for that. I don't buy any accessories. I just whatever, because like every kit comes with the pieces you need, the little tray to put the stuff in, the wax, the pens, everything comes with the painting you need. So it's like I don't buy anything extra for, and I just sit there and I'll do that. I don't do it very much in the summertime. It's more of like a winter, springtime project I discovered. It's when I usually work on it. Yeah.
What do you think attracts you to that activity?
I'm not sure what it was. It just sucked me in. It's like I really enjoy this, and I just like seeing like the picture in like the pixelated form. I think it's kind of cool. So it's just sitting there making those, and this got sucked into it, and then all of a sudden, like a few months later, it starts taking off, and I see it more and more online. It's like, oh, I kind of got into that before it got big.
Right. Have you ever tried painting by numbers?
Yes,
And
many times, and it's just one of those. It's like knitting a sweater. I start it and just lose interest, and then sits there unfinished for years.
yeah,
So
but this seems like more finicky because it's like it's tiny and you have to be so precise and
yeah, but I don't know. I like to do the smaller size ones, so it doesn't take me that long time to do them. But I don't know. I just enjoy it.
do you have a special thing about flamingos? Because I've seen some flamingos on your Instagram as
And you
well.
see behind me the flamingos and stuff. I don't know. It's just like a few years ago. It's like I've always thought they looked kind of cool and stuff, but like you didn't really see very many flamingo stuff in the stores to buy. So like every now and then I was like, oh, I'll grab that, grab that. All of a sudden it's like, let's go. You're just like boom, explode. It's like at that same time I was like trying to like, I never really had like a logo for my channel for the longest time or anything. So it's like, it's kind of like play around and do something. And it's like, you know what? I like the flamingos. Let's just like mix the flamingos. It smells like yarn, and it kind of works. And it's kind of like my logo now is a flamingo, and I don't know, it works for me. I enjoy it. I love it.
Right. How did you come up with the name Smells Like Yarn?
So when I was trying to figure out a name for the channel, for the podcast, like I started my channel with like doing like Scentsy videos and candles and wax melts is like what I was really into and watching a lot on YouTube at the time. So I would do videos about that stuff, and it never really clicked or really, I don't know. I still do enjoy those stuff and I do one from time to time, but it went more from the wax to the yarn. It's like, okay, I want to start a podcast. I need a name. What do I call this? And like my YouTube name is Small Great Guy is like my username. So I wanted to kind of keep on like same idea of like smells. I like smells, and I want my house to smell good. It's like, what can I think? And one night I'm just thinking, and I thought of like Smells Like Teen Spirit song popped in my head. It's like, you know what? Smells like yarn. That'd be perfect because it covers like I like candles and wax stuff that makes the house smell good. I like yarn. It just like it's the perfect combination. So Smells Like Yarn was born that way.
Right. Do you ever like colors that you surprised to like?
Yes. Trying to think, because I'm usually like so like neon yellow is like my favorite, like the neon colors I like. And so I usually a lot of my yarns I love to knit with are like yellow, blues, and greens. But like was it earlier this year? I bet like I got like drawn to like a pink and green combination and stuff. It's just like, and I lots of times don't like neutrals every now and then. Like I really like a combination of like neutral colors. So I'm surprised every now and then. It's like, ooh, I really like this combination. It works good. I really enjoy it. And it's like not my usual blue, green, yellow combination. So
Well,
I
because
get
when I
surprised by
was
that.
watching your last podcast, you were like, "Oh, this is my favorite color," and then there was this like pink and orangey sort
Yeah.
of like very mellow
Yep.
babyish sort of thing, and I was like, I didn't think of you as the pink and orange babyish kind of
Yeah.
guy. So
Every now and then it's like I enjoy that combination together. It just works for me. So yeah.
right. And do you ever like knit, like you like the yarn in the bowl, right?
Mhm.
And then you knit a hat with it, and you're
Mhm.
like, I'm just not wearing these things. Like, does that
Yep.
happen?
Oh yeah. There was a few months ago, maybe even longer now, Knit Picks came out with like a speckled yarn. It's like, oh, they make a cool, like a speckled worsted weight. It's like, I'll buy this, make some hats. And the way the yarn was like dyed and with my stitch count and everything, the speckles all pulled to like one side of the hat. And the other side was like just plain. It's like, that didn't turn out how I wanted it to. It's like, maybe I won't use this yarn for hats because it just doesn't work right. So that happens every now and then where it just doesn't pool or variegate or stripe how I think it would.
Have you ever tried to like dye yarn?
Yep,
And like, would you like make a hat not super happy with the color and dye the hat?
probably not. But I did probably, I don't know how many years ago, probably 6 or 7 years ago, I tried dyeing yarn and I did some self-stripping yarn with Kool-Aid and it turned out cool. I liked it, but I haven't done anything since then.
So, like, when you tried that, that didn't catch enough of your interest to turn it into something bigger.
No, it was just more of like a thing to try and like kind of like I'm just gonna like I knew you could do yarn with Kool-Aid, so I was like, I'm just try this one time and I liked it. It worked. It's like I bought more Kool-Aid to do more yarn and I never did. Just one of those things where it's like time to do it and everything just didn't work out. But I have like a stack of bare yarn still up at the top of my shelves. At some point I might die, but I don't know
Waiting,
when. But
waiting for that Kool-Aid bath.
yeah, yeah, it was fun. It's not something I would do.
Do you like knitting socks?
I I've knit a few socks, but I didn't really I don't enjoy it.
Why? Like, because it's small. Like,
Uh-huh.
why not?
I think it's just I don't know, there's something about it like I get done, it's like I don't know, it doesn't draw my attention like, oh, let's pick up and knit the sock. It's like I do, and it's like I'm just not feeling this. And it's just one of those projects that doesn't really click with me. So
Do you do like scarves, shawls, that kind of things?
yep,
Any
yep,
neckwear?
yep.
And you wear them like everywhere.
Mhm.
Do people comment on you wearing your stuff that you knit and like ask who made it?
Some people, yeah, will ask me like, "Oh, well, it's a cool scarf. Like, where'd you get it?" Or it's like, "Oh, I made it myself," and they're like surprised, like I made it something myself. So yeah, but
Is are your parents, like your family, are they very crafty? Like, where do you think your craftiness came
I
from?
got it from my mom. I That's where it came from. So my mom. Also, this behind me came from my mom. Just she had like a sewing room growing up that always was full of fabric and everything. So, and like she taught me how to knit when I was younger. She knits. She still knits. So that's where the craftiness came from. And we all growing up, we always did some kind of crafts project, whether it was like knitting, plastic canvas, painting. There was always something we were doing creative wise like that. So
Are you sewing
no,
still?
I don't sew. I won't let myself learn how to sew. That's why I told myself, like, Ross, you can't get a sewing machine because I know what'll happen. Because if I have a yarn room, I'll probably have a fabric room. Not gonna happen. So I limit myself now to the only crafting I can do is knitting, yarn crafting, and diamond painting, and that's it.
So do you feel like you are in control of your yarn purchasing and your yarn addiction?
I'm in control of it. I know what I'm doing when it's like I know I shouldn't be doing it, but yet here I am. It's like buy, add to cart, add to cart, add to cart, add to cart. So it's like I just like Ross, you don't need this, but it's like I still buy it.
Do you have plan for like most of the items on that wall?
No, I mean like the bottom two rows you can see that's all like kitchen cotton for like dishcloth. So those will be dishcloths over some point in some time. And then everything above it is pretty much like all fingering weight yarn. So probably hats most likely, but who knows what else. But yeah, like specific project for a certain yarn, I don't have anything like that.
Do you ever get like frustrated because you have all that yarn, but then some project you just don't have the right yarn for it?
Yes. I feel like all the time it's like when I'd like go to start a project, it's like I need like a lot of projects I would like try to do like shawls that were like I would do like some mystery knit alongs years ago. And it's like, okay, you need like 4 yarns of solid colors. I'm like, well, crap, I've got, because I like to buy multicolored yarn, striping yarn is what I like to buy. So like I don't have like a lot of solids. So like trying to find like 4 solids that would go together in like the same yarn base. It's like I gotta go shopping. So
I have that all the time. And it's funny because, like, the first time I ran into that problem, 10 minutes prior to that,
mhm,
my son was explaining to me how, like, I'm addicted to buying yarn. I have way too much yarn. I'll never be able to knit all that yarn.
yeah.
And then somebody asked me to test knit this pair of Fair Isle
Mhm,
mittens. And
yeah.
I needed 7 colors for it. And they all have to be solid colors.
Yeah.
And I had like 5.
Mm,
I went through like all the yarn that I had, and
yeah.
I had 5. And I was like, you see, that's why I need to buy more yarn.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
I don't have like decay, I don't have worsted. Like, so
Yep.
like if any big project comes along, I'm like,
Mhm.
I just don't have the yarn for it.
And it's like a project comes like, oh, it uses DK yarn. It's like, wait, I don't really have any DK yarn in my collection, so I guess I have to go buy some. And so
Right.
yeah.
And I'm always sort of, I'm either buying lace yarn or I'm buying fingering. So I
Mm-hmm.
have like ton of that, but
Yeah.
then step to the left, step to the right, I don't have
Yep.
the right yarn.
Yeah. For me, it's a lot of worsted weight and a lot of fingering weight are like the two that I have a lot of. And then everything else in between, it's like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but not a whole lot of it.
Right. Do you have any, like, how far in advance do you plan of what you're gonna need? Do you have like far
I,
plans? Like next year I'm gonna do this.
no, I learned a long time ago, don't plan out like that because it usually doesn't happen. So I just kind of just figure out I'm going to work on this today and that's it. And then go that way and stuff.
And when you buy yarn, do you plan what you're gonna make with it, or you just buy it because it's pretty?
Usually I buy it because I like how it looks. And then I'll figure out a project later on down the road.
So what do you think is the oldest yarn you have in your collection that you still haven't knitted with?
Oh, I know it's still down there somewhere, but there's like some of the first yarns I bought, there was like I said, like the Lion Brand homespun and like the Michaels version of it. And there was, I think, some like Vicky Howell sheepish yarn that's still down there from like the first purchase. So it's still there. And like some of it, like the sheepish, I don't want to knit with because it's not around anymore. So it's like I'm afraid like if I knit with it, it's not gonna be there anymore. But it's like I just need to get it knit and get it gone because it's sitting down there. It's really doing nothing in the basement. It's just sitting down there. So, but there's still some of those first yarns. Some like a lot of kitchen cotton, like some of probably the cotton in like these couple bins are probably some of the first yarns I bought. So
Have you ever considered distashing? Or is that like the word that we don't even say out loud?
like I haven't really thought about it. It's like I don't know. I think the main thing in my head is like if I do destash it, then I have to like put it together to ship it and take it to the post office and stuff. Like when am I going to do that with my work schedule? It's like it wouldn't work. So it's like we'll just keep it.
It's funny because tomorrow I'm interviewing Niti Natty, who is also a podcaster on
Yeah.
YouTube. And I watched one of her episodes where she was destashing already destashed collection. So she has this one cabinet where she
Yeah.
keeps all her yarn, and she just took everything and she was like, whatever doesn't bring me joy, I'm just giving away.
Hmm.
And every time she would put another skein into that not
Yeah.
bringing joy, my heart would be just like stopping. And I was like, girl, what are you doing? And I think like that video got the most dislikes.
uh,
And I think like the only reason was because people were reacting to this stashing like that.
like if it's like with this yarn, like all the yarn brings me joy at some reason, some point. It's like I just can't get rid of it. It's like it's all my babies. Like I can remember, okay, I bought this yarn at this time. I ordered it with this, and this, and I still can remember like what sale it was or where I bought it from. It's like I still remember for some reason that sticks out in my head.
Right. Is there like particular yarn that you always come back to?
Um, I don't.
Or is it like, in Seinfeld, they were like, men don't want to know what's on TV. They want to see what else is on TV. Like, is that how it is with you and yarn?
I feel like it's like I want to work with everything new and just kind of like that. So I don't really have like one I go back to all the time. I can't really think of one that sticks out. I mean, I guess you can kind of say like, oh, I always do dishcloth, so like this, the 100% cotton I always going back to, but really no like one yarn line or yarn brand. It's always whatever's new and uh, coming in from the mail is what I'm usually working on.
Do you think like knitters in general and you in particular are easy people to shop for gifts?
I don't think so. I'm not, I would say I'm probably not easy to shop for. I'm pretty picky about what I like. And so like, if I want to pick out my own yarn and stuff like that. So as far as that goes, I'm probably not the easiest person to shop for.
Your family, do they know like what stores you prefer? So can they give you like gift certificate to a certain store that would they like guaranteed to make you happy, or that changes all the time as well?
Pretty much a gift certificate anybody will work. So like whether it's Michael's or Joann's or like the local yarn shop, I'll use it. I'll find something I'll like. So it's not a problem. Like it'll get used. So
Have you ever gotten a present that was yarn and you were like, oh, thank you?
actually this past year for Christmas. So my brother sends me a text like, yeah, it's like, have you seen this before? And it was Knit Crate. And like I've been signed up for Knit Crate for a few months, or actually a few years now. And like the past year and a half, I skipped every month because I just didn't like what they had for yarn selection and stuff. So like he sent me the pictures like, oh yeah, I've been signed up for that for a few years, but I really don't like what they have most months. Like, oh well, you're getting it for like 3 months. Like, oh, thanks. So
And then the packages came broken.
those are separate packages because finally in July, I liked the yarn they had featured that month. It's like, you know what? Let's get it this month because I actually like that yarn. And then I get the damaged packages. And then I forgot to skip it for August. So I got the August one billed and the August one arrived damaged too. So
Right.
like, yay.
Well, hopefully they'll fix their customer service issues and
I don't, I feel like it takes them like, I think a week to get back to you. Whereas I got some yarn from Premier Yarns over the weekend that there was one ball of yarn that was like, it looked like it got either cut at the factory or cut at the warehouse and like put in my bag of yarn. And I pulled it out and there's like just a dozen like ends of the yarn hanging off. It's like, that's not right. So this morning I took some pictures of it. I emailed Premier. It's like, hey, I got this ball of yarn. It looks like it got cut somewhere before it got to me. And I had a response probably within 2 hours and they got a new yarn shipped off to me. So it's like,
oh, nice.
customer service from one company to another company is very different, but yeah.
Right. I mean, it's like I feel like you can't necessarily hold everybody responsible for the shipping, but
Mhm.
the customer service you can.
Yeah. And I feel like though, like with the shipping, like with how I feel, some of it's how with the packaging the company chooses to package their stuff in. This doesn't hold up in transit. Where
Right.
if it's shipped in a nice heavy duty package, then you can probably put the blame on the postal services and the delivery services. But if it's packaged badly to begin with, I say it's more on the person that shipped it and not the person
Right.
that delivered it.
Right. What's your plans as far as your podcast go? Like, where do you see yourself going with that? Like, let's say you're on the 500 episodes. Like, how do you think it's going to be different from today?
I don't think it'll probably be different because like if I like I'll go back and like look some of my early episodes and really not much has changed as far as like format goes. Obviously technology quality has changed, but really it's the same where it's like, okay, this is what I've worked on, this is what's I finished, this is what's new. It's like it's the same all along. So
Format.
yep. So I don't see it changing. And like I said, mentality is like I go on the idea that nobody's gonna watch it and just kind of just like as long as I'm happy with what I put out, that's what I focus on. And so I'll probably as long as I have yarn, I'll probably just keep on doing videos until I either run out of yarn or YouTube goes away, or I don't know what happens. So
Well, I'm very happy that you were a guest of my channel today.
thank you for
Thank you.
asking me to be on here.
Thank you so much for being here.